Today, I want to get into Jin telling JHope to go to the hospital and what happened there. We also have people saying that JHope has actually been given really bad food, and I wanted to address that. And then we have HYBE staff apparently in jail. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumplings, hey Spilling Mug merch, and let's go. We need to address the controversy of Bobby Jung. I don't like to say controversy for situations like this, but we live in a world where things like this are controversial. Now, the idea of sexual assault or invading someone's personal space, I don't think even the most conservative of people would approve of that type of action. They might have opinions on what women should do after, but I don't think anyone approves of the R word. So what happened with this situation with Bobby Jung, and how does it affect BTS and HYBE actually? If you are not aware of who Bobby Jung is, he is a producer and has been in charge of a couple of hits from BTS and even TXT. He's done songs like Love Yourself and many others, and so the fandom got acquainted with his music style and even who he was, as ARMYs like to look into those things and see who they need to thank for making such great music. Bobby also worked on songs like Filter as well, and this all became controversial when it was discovered that allegedly Bobby had sexually harassed someone. Apparently he recorded a woman naked without her consent. They don't exactly say how he did this or if this was like a camera in the bathroom situation, but needless to say, it was quite disturbing to hear about. The victim suffered a lot of emotional distress and is in shock. Initially, it was believed that there wasn't enough evidence against Bobby, and I think a lot of people wanted to believe that too because they didn't want to hate a BTS producer. But Bobby has now been reprimanded and is now expected to go to jail for a year and then also some sexual harassment training, and then will never be allowed to work at a job that involves children. People then protested to have Bobby's credit removed from all of BTS's work as they don't want this type of person in the credits of BTS. I can understand that. What bothers me is the reaction of some of these fans. I find to be quite sickening. People were writing posts and protesting Bobby only because Bobby has any association with the boys. They don't care about what he has done. They make it clear they only care because it involves BTS. And this is what is a big problem here, because a lot of the fandoms were requesting Bobby's name to be removed from all the credits, even just when accusations were up in the air. And they couldn't even care less to figure out if Bobby did commit the crime or what Bobby's crime sentence should be. The part that also makes this controversial for me is that we as a society also need to stop trying to erase bad people. It's very tempting to sit there and say that so-and-so did really bad things. Let's not quote-unquote honor him, and we should never talk about him. The idea of separating art from the artist, because whether Bobby's credit is physically on the credits or not, there's no changing his actual involvement on the song unless you have a time machine, and even then, the song you love is not going to sound the same or would have been the same hit. However, a lot of these fans just get so emotional over the fact that Bobby is associated with BTS, again, not over the sexual harassment. However, what we can rest assured is that Bobby is not going to work with BTS in the future. I, for one, would also feel a little guilt-free reacting and fangirling to music and music videos that are not produced by people who have done terrible things. A bunch of the videos I do react to are okay, and if you want to join us in reacting to them, then head over to Patreon. I will link it in the description. We have a $1 tier there. Now, I am, however, very excited to hear that the BTS members are doing a lot and being very cute. There was actually recently a Weverse conversation that seemingly resurfaced and went viral again. I think it's because we actually don't see a lot of RM's older posts now, and so when the fandom sees the older posts, it becomes a lot more fun to read and talk about. RM likes to post a lot of his museum visits and historical things that he goes and sees. He posts about 4 photos of him at a temple and some of the sculptures there. RM made sure to post a video of a cat walking in the snow. The cat was being very majestic, but it was obviously very clear that the cat wasn't RM's, and maybe it belonged to the temple. It's quite sad to see a cat with no home and out in the cold for who knows how long. So the other members see each member's post very quickly, and then since their comments are only allowed by those who they follow, the other members can leave comments and we can see them immediately. JHope actually saw these posts and had some comments to make about it. JHope talked about how the cat was heartbreaking to him because he could see the paws. He mentioned that it breaks his heart if this was a reality. Keep this in mind that it is translated from Korean to English, so there could be some errors. But what he was trying to say here is that if this was a real situation where a cat was walking out in the cold in the snow, it's a bit heartbreaking. When JHope said this, Jin actually responded very quickly to say that JHope should go to the hospital for his broken heart. And I think that's absolutely hilarious. JHope then responded to Jin's post to say say that JHope will not be going to the hospital, but will be settling for just a drink, to numb his pain, of course. Even though BTS members are all saints and beautiful human beings, they can't save every animal and living thing from discomfort. A bit of a side note here, and I think this is something a lot of people don't realize. Unless the celebrity is extremely narcissistic, which means they would be hated and they would never amount to a huge amount of success because people would just stop supporting them. But unless they were, most celebrities don't realize they may not have the power to change other living beings' lives. And then when a celebrity sits there and then actually acknowledges that they're a celebrity, suddenly all of the comments are like, who is he, she? Why are they so conceited? So many celebrities try to go as long as possible without saying that they're a celebrity, because once they acknowledge that, they lose all their support. And then suddenly all the comments are like, you've changed. But at this point, for celebrities like BTS, I don't think they can get away with saying that they're not famous. I don't think it works that way. Most people would be frustrated that someone so rich, powerful, and famous isn't even acknowledging it. Because of this and BTS' success, this was definitely a concern when the members went to the military. Would the members get taken advantage of, and would people treat them differently at the camp given their success? This was interesting because people were saying that they noticed that the military food was actually very good recently. And by recently, they mean that the photos that have been shared of JHope and Jin. A blogger actually reposted some of the photos we see of JHope from the camp and cropped JHope's food. The blog was just a cute fan page that showcased all the food that JHope is eating recently. An ex-soldier actually got very upset because when they saw the blog, he felt like the food was very misleading to what the military had, I guess, when this ex-soldier was there. And I think there's a few explanations for this. Naturally, the military could have just gotten better food, and what the ex-soldier is saying is not relevant anymore. After all, things can improve and get better, and maybe there were a lot of complaints about the food there. I can imagine that concept being quite frustrating for him to grasp and understand, because he had to go through terrible food when he was in the service. And then the other theory is that the military food is still bad, but maybe they just made JHope's food look good, because we see in the photo that the food actually does look good recently. So then they just cook a few good meals for specific days they knew the photos would be taken, or the food was actually improved. The ex-soldier was alleging that the food was very low quality. I don't know what low quality means, but a lot of that was the reasons armies were so scared about the eating situation with JHope and Jin. It's very easy to eat bad food if that's what you've been used to and your body can take it. But if you're someone like Jin and JHope who have had world-class chefs cook for them and all this stuff, then you definitely wouldn't be able to stomach low-class food. And thus the solution often will just be not to eat. And that is not a great solution for a job that requires a lot of physical activity. You have to eat all the food there and all of the calories there so that you're strong enough for all the training. People were saying that JHope's stomach could be poisoned or that he would vomit or get sick. While I think this could happen, so many idols have joined the military and have been fine with the food. The idea that they may have switched out the food is definitely an interesting one. The military knows that the photos that are posted on the apps are going to be seen by parents, they're going to be seen by JHope fans. They know it's going to get a lot of attention now. So if they don't make the food look good, it almost makes it appear like the country is doing poorly, since a lot of those photos have actually been shared by non-Koreans now. And so I don't know the legitimacy of the meals there in Korea. I know in America, the military food just looks terrible. It's supposed to be as many calories as possible, and so I actually don't know if it tastes good. And if you've been in the military, let us all know. But it definitely does not appear all that nasty. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.